Six multi-point scorers lead shorthanded VGK to a 6-5 win in Winnipeg. We talk about Bruce Cassidy's injury updates and Miro's first NHL goal.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. We thank you all for making us your first listen each and every day. You can find us on Twitter at LockedOnVGK, at Tony Dasco, at TD Chris G. And of course, we've got our YouTube channel that is Locked On Golden Knights. Please do not delay. Subscribe today. Wow, I'm rhyming this morning. So a wild one in Winnipeg, Chris, last night, as Jonathan Marchessault scores two power play goals for VGK. And now VGK and Winnipeg, 12 out of 13 meetings. The game winner has scored four more goals. And last time, the game loser scored four more goals, too. And so along with Marchessault and his two power play goals, five other Golden Knights also had multi-point games. And so we saw Chandler Stevenson with 4 assists. That was great. Daniil Miromanov, will dedicate an entire segment to him and his 3 points last night, first NHL goal. Mark Stone had a couple of goals, must have been listening yesterday because we were talking about perhaps he's broken down and all that. Smith had 2 assists. My Twitter feed just went bananas last night.
William Curie got an empty netter? Or Carlson?
Yeah. William Karlsson just leaking out, basket hanging again as usual. But good thing for Karlsson, though. Good thing because we saw Scheifele score that other goal, a late goal. Someone had tweeted out, I think Steve Karp, one of the VGK reporters, really tough loss with 2 seconds to go. If you had that reverse line.
Well, the reverse puck line, yeah.
Yeah, -1.5. He really got stung there. So 6-5, Scheifele capping off the hat trick last night with that final goal, 2 seconds left, and 6-5 was your final. Let's get some of your impressions, Chris.
Well, I guess it's good to be wrong sometimes. Me and you both thought that VGK was, I predicted 4-2 Winnipeg. You said 5-2 Winnipeg. Neither one of us had Vegas in this one. And I mean, where do you start? You know, you see the first period. VGK, I thought, had a decent early start, and then the ice got tilted pretty fast. Miromanov gets the game-tying goal right away, not long after the first Winnipeg goal. And then you look at the shot disparity in the first period, like, okay, VGK is a live dog right now, right? You know, it's the 6-1 horse that, you know, is making a late move, right? There's a shot, you know, and up and back. Cassidy alluded to is like a junior game where just a lot of scoring up and back, and you don't really know how it's going to wind up. And power play goals, big goals, timely goals, tip-ins. If there's something, it would have been nice to win this game a little bit cleaner. We can definitely assess that. Adin Hill, I don't think he had a bad game. A lot of goals given up, but you look at the goals, traffic in front of the net. We've been talking about this a lot.
Yeah,
a lot of
all
traffic,
sorts of traffic,
a lot of tips, a lot of rebounds, and the VGK defense. They were sizable. I wouldn't say they were big by any means, but they were, you know, they're average if I had to compare to the NHL just at the eye test. And now they're smaller and less experienced, so they got to find a way to clean that up in front of the net. You can't win every game 6-5, but we will definitely take this one. No one out there, starting with me and you, we didn't think Adin Hill was going to go last night. We all thought Logan Thompson, and LT goes today and tomorrow. And this is the first time Cassidy kind of started him on a weekday, right? He got a Tuesday night start. So I thought that was actually a smart move because you got to get 2 points on this trip, right? You got to find a way to get 2 points. And you start LT Thursday against Chicago, which gives us the best opportunity to win that game against a not so good team. And if we get 1 or 2 points Tuesday in Winnipeg, even better. You just got to find a way to win tomorrow night now. You got to sweep this road trip.
I felt that it was sort of a message from Cassidy to LT as well. Just again, he likes to have that little edge and competitive nature, I think, to kind of push LT now. I really do feel he
I mean,
sort of
but
sent a
he played
message.
fine against Boston. Like, what's the message?
Well, the message is just, he just wants him to stay sharp or get sharper. I mean, really,
Okay.
there were some bad goals, and as you said, traffic in front of the net. I think you could probably attribute maybe three of the five goals
Yeah, I was just
for the
watching the
Jets.
replays, and it's either a tip or a rebound right there. And the rebounds weren't bad rebounds. It was, you know, Winnipeg's got a bunch of big power forwards. You give them that chance, and they're gonna convert like Mark Stone.
Why is this team much looser on the road? They just played a better brand of hockey, offensively, especially. Let's start there. Like, why are they just more productive, looser? Again, they just were skating up and down the ice. They just found a groove, a rhythm. I don't understand why they're not feeling that at home.
Maybe Cassidy is just a bad coach that can't match lines. I mean that very, very loosely and passively. But remember, the road team has to put their players out there first during a stoppage, and then the home team matches up. So maybe Cassidy just can't match up. I don't know. I mean, all joking aside, I think a big chunk of that is on Cassidy for not having him ready at home. Cassidy buys into the first game back from the road trip. He buys into the fact that when there's a holiday and the players are at home, it could create a distraction. And again, we're not, it's human. It's life. It's whatever to that. But if Cassidy is buying into it and not finding a way to get the team ready besides by canceling Christmas and kids parties and running errands, he's got to figure that out. This is on the coach to have the team ready, especially at home. And the good thing, I mean, if we're going to put a positive spin on their poor home record, which I think is 500 right now, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to get better. It should get better. And their ability to win on the road with ease, it's with ease, two regulation or road losses, if I'm not mistaken. So the home games will get better. They're in a good spot, I guess. Injuries withstanding, if we can get past this. And, like I said, this is a big win. Winning this game last night erases the San Jose home loss. It erases the St. Louis Blues home loss. However you want to spin that, this is a game VGK should not have got a point in, let alone one. So let's celebrate that as long as they take care of business tomorrow in Chicago. You hope there's not some weird letdown after a big win on Tuesday night. You hope LT can lock it down and VGK can win by only scoring three or four goals instead of needing 6 goals.
Okay, let me express what I was trying to say a little bit earlier about Aiden Hill, about Logan Thompson. And I felt as though Cassidy wants to take LT out of his comfort zone. He thinks that that's going to be his start. He feels starting to get a little bit more comfortable. And then you suddenly have the coach go, no, let's play Aiden. And our strategy is, again, we do want to, try to sweep this trip. And then I just felt that he might have kind of you have to take these guys out of their comfort zone at some point just so they can try to stay sharper. That's it.
It's a fair statement. That is
Yeah.
a very, very fair statement. No doubt.
Yeah. So, again, it's a season series sweep for the VGK. They win all 3 games against Winnipeg. Winnipeg, I think, has 10 losses, and 3 of them against VGK. So that's pretty good. But now they're done with that season series.
And Winnipeg, they were this. I think my son loves doing this with me. So we have this little game that my son grabs my phone. He looks at the standings and he names a team, and I have to guess where they are overall in the entire league. He gives me 3 guesses, and I try and get close. And I think Winnipeg going into last night was 6 or 7, and now they dropped to 9th. But point being is,
I love that game.
Oh, it's fun. But
that
point being is
sharp.
Winnipeg. What's that?
that definitely keeps you sharp.
Oh,
too.
it definitely does. And Winnipeg's a good team. They were 6th or 7th last night. They dropped a couple notches with the loss, but I mean, they beat a top 10 division leading team on their ice. They beat, if the season ended right now, a Vezina finalist in Connor Hellbuck, and they got 5 goals past him. That's a big deal. And without Jack Eichel, without Shea Theodore, without Pietrangelo, 3 offensive weapons right now, and Zach Whitecloud, obviously, of course, too. But the other 3 players, certainly, that's a lot of points on the VGK roster right now. I think was that near 70 points or 60 points or something like that. So major kudos to the VGK. We definitely didn't think, and we weren't being down on VGK. We were simply offering a real time reality perspective that they were going to have a tough game, and kudos that they were able to overcome whatever Cassidy put out there. Kudos to Cassidy for getting them ready. And the road wins seem to be coming easy right now, and hopefully they can figure this out on home ice. And if that's the case, all of a sudden it's a recipe for possibly a long run. And obviously, hopefully this wasn't an outlier or a blip last night.
Okay, so the Dasco Media Center here, Media Central last night.
Need some decorations in there. It looks a little bland.
It is very bland. I like that. I'm a minimalist, I guess you could say, in this set. But so last night, okay, I've got everything going on streams and what have you, and I'm listening to the VGK broadcast in the background, and okay, the narrative, quit it, just quit it, please. I know it's not Friday yet. They're trailing 4-3, and suddenly it comes on thick and heavy, and VGK, playing without all these players and the injuries and no, quit it, man. Because they're in the game. It's a 4-3 game. And then I'm watching my timeline on Twitter, and then people are following suit. Yeah, luckily we just hung around in this game. No, you're down just the 1 goal, the stupid penalty that they had on Kessel there, the high stick on Piak, whatever, right? So you're in this game. It's 3 minutes to go, and already the narrative is, woe is me. No, stop it. They need to just quit that here. And it was everywhere. It's permeating. Yeah, we hung around while we could. We're still missing all these players. No, they have this opportunity to win, and those are those moments where they failed to pull out wins last season with all those injuries. Okay, I had enough of it. Oh, the Carlson empty netter, man. You have to, if you really want some good yucks, if you want to laugh, you need to go to my Twitter feed at Tony Dasco, because I just started to retweet all of them, and they were killing me. Here's just basket hanging.
Your fingers must be sore. To the narrative, I get what you're saying, and it's fair. And that was my perspective. And this is when I got crapped on, a week and a half ago, whenever the Boston game happened, where VGK had the 3-goal lead.
We're both getting crapped on.
I'm with you, and
I can take it. It's fun.
Yeah, no, I can too. But I am with you. I'm not a fan of excuses. I'm not a fan of, yes, there's injuries. Yes, there's tough times right now. But like you said, it's a 1-goal game. Let's focus on the fact that the game is in the balance and the team is doing well. And again, going back to the Boston game, yes, Boston's a good team. Okay, fine. We said it. Yay. They coughed up a 3-goal lead. Yes, they won the game in that shootout. Cool. Awesome. Yay. Good. But you cannot constantly do that and have success in the NHL. That'll definitely crush you in the playoffs. You can't ever spot a game based on something like that. So sure, we're going to be hard on it. And I think it's a fair perspective that you offered. I think it's fair for me to, be mad that they beat the Bruins in the fashion that they did. It's fair.
Yeah, and Winnipeg could have whined because Pierre-Luc Dubois was in and out of the lineup. He was really sick last night.
Oh, wow.
The flu was going around their locker room.
Oh, great. Now it's going to be in VGK. Awesome.
Okay, so yeah, but I'm just saying they could have had excuses as well.
It's rigged.
And I did. I walked out of the room for a moment. My good friend Zig Fracassi on Sirius XM Radio pointed out, and I missed it. They gave away a big screen TV last night on the Winnipeg feed, and I missed that.
You're going to call in and see if they ship it down to the States or what?
I could have. And I did order one of those scarves myself. So is
that the football soccer scarf?
Yes.
They're going to be selling those at T-Mobile on Saturday. They're going to be selling them.
Of course.
Fans are going to eat it up. They're going to eat it up.
I'm waiting for mine in 2 weeks plus, because I've been doing all these podcasts and TV interviews in the UK. So I was going to wear one the next time. And then I hope it's not the same one that they all were wearing. Okay, stay with us. We're way off the rails today. We've got the injury updates for VGK. Bruce Cassidy gave us some updates yesterday. We'll pass them along. We'll talk about how they're filling some roles, etc. We return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting information, for stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league that's out there, from football to basketball, soccer to esports, the National Hockey League. They've got it all at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest, the easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn much, much more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Welcome back from Las Vegas. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick here. And thanks for making us your number one choice, your number one podcast, your first listen each and every day. And you can find our podcast wherever podcasts are available. Our YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Knights. That's fire. And leave your comments and please subscribe there. Injury updates. Okay, so let's see. So Jack Eichel, this is according to Bruce Cassidy's presser with his nice little scarf that he was wearing. Jack Eichel listed as day-to-day, but he's not on the trip. So I tweeted out, should be days to days, because he's not on the trip. So he couldn't have been day-to-day yesterday, the day before, because he might have been able to play yesterday. In any event, so Eichel out day-to-day. Shea Theodore, week to week, and Zach Whitecloud, what we saw coming month to month.
I'm supposed to talk. Okay. It's all. I mean, Jack Eichel day
I
to
could keep
day.
talking.
Jack Eichel day to day. I'm okay with. I'm buying that it's not going to be a long-term situation there, or they would have utilized IR or, God forbid, LTIR for him. And they don't need to do it for him or Theodore right now, because if they have no more players coming or no trade coming or anything like that, there's no need to move them into one of those spots unless they need to open up a roster spot or cash. So, knock on wood, it's a shorter than longer term outlook for both those players. Eichel, hopefully back by Saturday would be nice. But again, it's always a concern when you see a player go down, get hurt, miss a couple games, play one game, and then they're out again. You certainly hope that is not more damage wasn't done. And you wonder if this might be the type of injury where there's discomfort. You got to just kind of play through it as long as you can. This is what Mark Stone went through last year with his back and whatever that piece of shrapnel that they pulled out of it was. He went as long as he could and then finally basically shut him down, tried to do something for the stretch run, and we got about a 55% healthy Mark Stone down the stretch. Hopefully Jack Eichel's leg situation is not something similar to that. We hope not. Shea Theodore is a minor concern. Week to week, I'll buy, somewhere in that 2 to 3 week range. Hopefully we'll see him back. Maybe a target would be January 1st. I think that's 2.5 weeks or so from now. That would be a nice time. Maybe that New Year's Eve game against Nashville or New Year's Eve, they're calling it New Year's Eve, and they're wearing the reverse retro jersey. So my son's excited for that one, of course. Pardon me. Whitecloud, I'm concerned there. I'm concerned that we will not see him. And I hate to be that downer. That's the second someone goes down. I always yell at my dad for this. And when he's watching a football game or a hockey game, someone goes down. Oh, it looks terrible. He's down. I'm like, Dad, chill out. Just see what happens. And that's the perspective I'm taking with Whitecloud right now. I think Whitecloud, I'm not going to handicap it. I don't want to put it in those types of terms, but I think there's a chance we do not see Whitecloud the rest of the season. I hope I'm wrong on that. I hope I get yelled at for that by our listeners saying I'm a downer, and I hope I'm wrong, but I think there is a reasonable chance. I think best case scenario would be maybe a stretch run into the playoffs, which would be good. But I honestly think there's a shot we will not see Whitecloud the rest of the season.
Yeah, and so Theodore was banging of the knees. Now, let me ask you a question. Don't they have padding on their knees?
Yeah.
Okay, so in any event, so that didn't save him. I always worry, in the NFL, so when I was in high school, I had to have my knee drained multiple times because, during the course of a season, because and I even had pads on, okay, over it, because your knees just take a beating. And today, they wear those the padding. They don't wear any padding. Basically, their knees are exposed in the NFL, and they always get smashed in the knees, which is kind of dumb. But talk about that equipment there, and how they try to protect their knee area in the National Hockey League, and and and
There's
and bumping knees, banging knees, and at that high speed. I've had that happen before. It's a couple of weeks, literally, because once before that swelling goes down.
you got a thick shin pad. I mean, it's a very thick, it's a lightweight material, so you have the flexibility to move and stuff. But keep in mind, I'm not sure if forwards and defensemen wear different types of equipment. I'm sure there's some forwards that, or some players in general, that have been wearing the same shin pads since in Kessel's spot since 1999 or something like that. Once you get that piece of equipment that's yours and it molds to your body and you never change that. But point being is, I gotta think the defensemen might be a little more protected than the forwards, depending on what type of shin pads they wear. But it's a thick material that covers probably a good 3/4 of your knee side to side. The back is exposed, but very rarely do you got to worry about taking a puck or contact back there. That said, I mean, you're on ice, it's a high rate of speed. Your foot's not going to dig in when that contact happens. Who knows how your foot is going to land once it hits the ice? And sometimes being on the ice is the saving grace as well. So your body slides instead of digs in, like on a hard basketball court or things like that. But yes, there's a lot of padding there. And you can take, especially these NHL players, they can take an 80-mile-an-hour shot to the knee pads or to the shin pads and not feel a thing necessarily. It just bounces off. It's not that big of a deal. But when you take that type of contact and your body is just bending in an unnatural way, especially your leg, it's just like a twig, basically, the way it attaches to the hip, and it's just going to go wherever the force takes it, and that's where the damage gets done. I don't think any damage occurred when he hit the ice. I think the collision itself is when whatever happened, and we hope it's maybe a small extension. We hope, I'm not a doctor person by any means, but you hope it's something small that, a couple weeks of discomfort, it'll get better and we'll get it back sooner than later. And that's what the outlook seems to be, thankfully.
And that equipment obviously would have to be body armor for Alec Martinez because he's blocked so many shots. And last night, let's talk about the D pairings last night. And we had Martinez and Haig. And then we had McNabb and Merrow. And then we had Hutton and Pahal.
I mean, I was trying to digest that as you were saying it. And I wish I would have looked at the minutes played. I'm curious how many minutes Hutton and Pahal got versus the other the other veteran pairings out there, right? I mean, what a time, huh? What a time right now. And listening to Cassidy's presser, he did feel Pahal had a good game, all things considered. A lot of praise for Miromanov, and made the comment, European player coming to the National League, it's a little bit different. And his quote is, we'll teach him how to play. We'll get him there. So it's a great quote. It's an attaboy. It's hey, you did a good job. You still got a little ways to go, but we'll get you there. And I mean, Miromanov all of a sudden is working his way up the depth chart right now due to injuries and players out for personal matters. And we'll talk more of Miromanov. I don't want to spoil too much, but listen, at the end of the day, that defensive group you just mentioned did give up 5 goals, and that's a concern. Hopefully they can get some confidence against the Blackhawks, who can have no trouble scoring with the skill players they have. But in the same breath, I think in my last quiz with my son, I think the Blackhawks are in the bottom 3 or 4 in the NHL overall. They had a decent start. They were a little bit above 500, and then finally the message got through that they got to stop playing well, or they're not going to have a chance to get Connor Bedard.
Bruce Cassidy, by the way, not a very good spokesperson for the new soccer team for Bournemouth.
Oh, okay.
He was wearing the scarf. I got to go back.
He looked. I didn't watch him. He looked so uncomfortable.
He was so uncomfortable.
He did not want. He was hoping they were not going to ask him a question about
it. That thing was just like, it wasn't like, he could have tugged on it maybe to make it look like, he was interested. And so they asked him, "What is that scarf?" "Oh, Bill Foley just bought the new team, Bournemouth, blah, blah, blah." And so you're a big soccer fan? No. I just watched a little bit of the World Cup, but no. Okay, next question. Coming up next, we're going to be talking. Coming up next, we're going to talk about Daniil Miromanov last night, first NHL goal. We'll talk about his role with his team, his journey, and much, much more. We return right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Welcome back on Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco and Chris Golick from Las Vegas. And thanks for making us your first listen. Your second listen has to be Locked On Sports Today. You could find out that podcast wherever you get your podcast as well as ours. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Golden Knights. So Daniil Miromanov, oh my goodness. I think that he gained a lot of fans last night, especially with his post-game presser. I listened to the post-game show as well and a lengthy interview with him last night. And he's had a long roll to make it to the NHL. From the USHL to the KHL and now to the National. And we talked about
we finally got a KHL player that worked out. Woohoo!
It hasn't. Oh, his career's not over yet. No, good luck to him. But paired with Braden McNabb last night, scored his first NHL goal in the game, 3 points in the contest, an offensive defenseman. We've heard about his offseason surgery. That kept him out of camp, out of training camp. And now he has a chance to break through in this lineup, as you mentioned. Let's talk about him, his skills. You watched him a little bit in the American, and now he's in the National.
So just a couple stats updates first. 21-22, 53 games played, 40 points, 11 goals, 29 assists. And then this year, after the injury, after missing camp, 17 games played, 6 goals, 7 assists, -8, but the Silver Knights, all things are getting better with the Silver Knights. I think they won 3 out of 4 right now without all these players right now. So it's very interesting, a nice little storyline developing down in Henderson. Finally, hopefully they can keep it going. But, Miromanov, I just like him. I enjoy all of his interactions at the Silver Knights games. You see his pictures popping up on social during the practices, just stepping right out into the crowd and hanging out and, BSing and stuff like that. He is such a likable fella. And this is before you watched an absolutely priceless post-game interview last night. So there was asked about the first goal. And there was 2 perspectives that I really enjoyed. One, of course, is, he was obviously talking about his parents. And he was asked, what are you going to say when you talk to him? And it was just such a smile. And I did it in a very nice accent, of course. But just that sense of accomplishment. And, I couldn't help but think about, watching my son play hockey and stuff like that. And, he's a few steps away from where Miromanov is, but maybe one day I'll get that phone call, but that's okay. Point being is, as a parent, you just love to watch that. And as a fan, you love to watch that. Now, the other side of that, I don't think it was our VGK. I don't think it was Ashley. I think it was someone else. I don't even know who the person was, but they said when your reaction to the goal, you were just kind of like, no big celebration, nothing, wasn't going nuts, wasn't celebrating like a kid who just scored his first NHL goal, kind of business as usual. And I think he credited, if I got this right, a Quebec coach. Let me see, I got his hockey DB up here. Let's see if I can find it.
Yeah, he did.
It was a Quebec coach, maybe in the QMJHL from the Moncton Wildcats. I don't know if I got that right or not, but I pulled it out from the hip, so we'll take it.
Do they sell scarves with that organization?
They probably do.
I said organization.
There's gonna be a lot of scarves and a lot more scarves in T-Mobile.
I was going to be the first one on my block to have one. I'm so mad.
So that's awesome. But back to what he said. He said his coach would actually bench him after he got a goal, and to let him know to send a message. Bruce Cassidy maybe was the coach, but to send a message that the game still goes on. The game needs to be played, and don't get too high after you score a goal. Make sure you're, be in the moment and the big picture. And the fact that, yes, he's not a 21-year-old rookie by any means or anything like that, but he seems wise beyond his years, I guess, as far as his games played. And I mean, he's someone who might be around for a long time, depending on how he can contribute on the blue line. And, once if Whitecloud comes back, once Pietrangelo comes back, once Theodore comes back, where does Miromanov fit into this right now? And, could Miromanov be our 6th defenseman as long as there is an injury? I think he pushed Ben Hutton already. Miromanov did have games played in this last run where Ben Hutton was the scratch. And I think that was before Theodore's injury. So Hutton looks like he's nudged himself to that 7th defenseman role. And it looks like we'll have Pahal playing on Thursday again, I would assume. And Korzak will just wait for someone else to go down because it seems like that's the way of the land right now in the VGK world.
Yeah, he's moved down, Caden Korzak, down the pecking order, you would have to imagine now with everything. And we've seen Miromanov. He's
And credit
struggled at
Miromanov. We're
times.
not knocking him, just credit
Oh,
Miromanov.
no. Yeah. Oh, no. He's definitely moved up. His stock has improved. He's made some mistakes, as we've seen. And, he was then again taking Petrangelo's spot on the power play unit,
Yes, how about that?
I know, right? And last night it was Petro's 8th game that he has missed due to those personal reasons. So I was listening to the post-game interview on the radio, and that if you really wanted to get more of a scope about this career and about Miromanov and everything, and all he could talk about, he said that he was much happier for the team to win than getting his first goal. The kid is just amazing. Like, so his parents, he said, when he was playing in Canada, they would travel. He said they've never missed a game. So they watched his game, whatever the time was in Russia, wherever they've been, they've watched every single game. His parents and his fiance credited them. And he said in Canada, let me get this straight, his parents would travel 15, 16 hours to go watch him play live. Like, while they moved up there or stayed up there at times. And it was just incredible. And he said as a kid, either parent would be at practices like every day. So if his dad had to attend to business, mom would be there, and then vice versa. So you got a feel for this guy, and he's just such a likable guy. And you've told us about him in the past and everything else, and hopefully, things stay that way, and he continues to play well. But that was just such a cool moment last night, and that's what stands out. Not that stinking empty net goal. So.
Yeah, no, everything is very well said, and
I've got to thank everyone for their creativity, though.
you might be talking to Coach Golick right now. My son, he'll be advancing up to the next level, which will be a house league, and I think I might have stepped on the landmine and accepted a coaching role. So we'll see how that goes. I do have some coaching experience, so I mean,
right.
back in the day with my dad and stuff like that, and I've coached some inline hockey youth back in the day, and I'm on the ice a lot, so I think I'll be qualified to handle the mites and get those kids in order and get them ready for the path. But like I'm thinking like that's all I can't stop thinking about when we're talking about, he's talking about his family and things like that. And as a father watching, your son going through all of that, it's exciting, it's fun. And whether my son gets to this level one day or he stays in the house leagues and just enjoys it, either way it's fun. And it's hockey's a great sport, and it's just wonderful, these stories that do develop and these connections that we do make with the players. I know we're media and objective and whatever, but it's, you can't help but to sit and enjoy stuff like this as it happens. And we're blessed in a sense that we get to talk and BS about these things.
Right. And for sure. And going again, playing in the KHL, and we know the odds against a lot of players coming in,
especially to Vegas,
the size of the ice, and here in Vegas there's that perception, we get it. But yeah, great story. So tomorrow we'll be back with much more. We'll be talking about the upcoming game as they take on the VGK. We'll be playing in Chicago against the Blackhawks, and it will be probably LT unless there's more mind games on the way in that. And then hopefully, the VGK can continue to play this way and play better defensively.
Brossois, call him up.
Brossois.
Call him up.
All right. For my man, Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. You all have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow right here on Locked On Golden Knights.